Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, a Democrat known for her sharp intellect and deep grasp of policy, wasn't grandstanding. She was holding someone accountable. Pam Bondi, speaking on behalf of the administration, came in with a prepared defense, a polished message about efficiency and streamlining. But when the facts met the slogans, the truth started to show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick note before I get to my questions. Fentanyl seizures are down 30% compared to last year, and that data is coming from the Customs and Border Patrol, CBP. I don't make it up. But fentanyl seizures are down. At your confirmation hearing, you asserted that you will do everything in your power to prevent illegal gun runners in our country. Your budget request for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, proposes a cut of 26% below the current level. How can you justify such a massive cut without inevitably weakening ATF's ability to help our state and local law enforcement fight illegal gun trafficking? How many ATF law enforcement officers and industry operations investigators do you anticipate will be lost to attrition as a result of this funding reduction you're proposing?
So, I am a career prosecutor, and I believe in keeping America safe, making America safe. First, what we're doing is ATF is going to be brought over with DEA. Everyone knows, everyone sitting up here, guns and drugs go together. They go together. We're going to make it more efficient. What I will tell you will not be happening is ATF agents will not be knocking on the doors of legal gun owners in the middle of the night asking them about their guns. They're going to be out on the streets. If I can finish, they're going to be out on the streets.
I have three
No,
minutes.
you asked me a question.
I did, and
you asked me a question,
and you haven't
I'm gonna
answered my
it.
question.
So they're going to be out on the streets working
You haven't
hand in hand
answered my
with
question.
DEA
You
to
haven't
violate.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like an answer to my question. And the question is not being answered. How many ATF law enforcement officers and industry operations investigators do you anticipate will be lost to attrition as a result of the funding reduction you are proposing? You are proposing a 26% cut to ATF for fiscal year 2026, as well as a 4.4% cut to DEA. So you're going to merge the two agencies together, and then you're going to shortchange their resources, so neither one of them will be able to do the job that they have been designed to do. You've got a 34% cut to the high-intensity drug trafficking areas program, no dedicated money at all for the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. So, my view, it's fair to say that the Trump administration proposal shortchanges federal efforts to stop illegal gun trafficking and federal efforts to stop the flow of dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl.
As I was attempting to answer your question very calmly, unlike you,
Excuse me, Madam Attorney General. Answer yes or no. Tell me what the numbers are. I don't want to hear all of your filibuster about this. Go ahead, please. Tell us the numbers.
So we are reorganizing. ATF agents want to be out on the street.
Okay,
working
let me answer the
DEA
question for you.
agents.
I'm going to answer it for you. Page. Mr. Chairman, you give me a certain amount of time, and I have a high respect for you, but I don't have to listen, nor do my colleagues have to listen to a filibuster when it's a simple question. But I have an answer to your question. It's page 146 of the department's fiscal year 2026 budget, and the performance summary explicitly says, and let me quote, ATF will eliminate 541 industry operation investigators, reducing ATF's capacity to regulate the firearms and explosive industries by approximately 40% in fiscal year 2026. ATF will perform fewer regulatory inspections. And the department summary goes on to say, and let me quote, ATF anticipates a reduction of approximately 284 support personnel and 186 agents based on historical attrition patterns, and these personnel cuts will impact ATF across various functions, unquote. If the capacity to regulate firearms industry is reduced by 40%, if you are losing 186 ATF law enforcement agents on top of that, it is clear the direction you are headed with this budget, and that's what it is, isn't it? The proposal will weaken our ability to stop gun trafficking, and it will greatly reduce ATF support for state and local law enforcement that helps them prevent and solve violent crimes. It's a bad proposal.
Do you want to hear my answer in 3 seconds? You mentioned regulatory functions. We will not be having ATF agents go to the doors of gun owners in the middle of the night asking them about their guns, period. They will be out on the streets with DEA, guns and drugs.
How many
go
are
together.
gone?
It will be attrition. We are not firing agents. They
Who are-
will be working
how many
with
have taken
DEA.
attrition?
Can I tell you that they all want to be on the streets? They want to be doing their jobs. They want to be
But you're getting them
seizing
off the
guns.
streets.
They want
You're getting
to.
them
We're
off the
putting
streets.
them on the
And-
streets.
and-
They want to be working with
you,
DEA.
you are getting them off
We
the
will be
streets. There is no
efficient.
clear, and Mr.
We will
Chairman,
be
I yield back my
efficient.
time. I yield back my time. Let's get some answers here.
What we just witnessed was more than a heated exchange. It was a glimpse into the soul of America's political divide over guns, safety, and the role of government. DeLauro didn't ask for talking points. She asked for numbers, concrete, real-world data. Because when you're talking about a 26% cut to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, you're talking about real consequences. Less oversight, fewer investigations, more illegal guns making their way into neighborhoods that are already struggling with violence. And here's what most people don't realize. The ATF isn't some shadowy agency out to take people's guns. It's the agency that investigates the crimes that legal gun owners don't want associated with them. When a weapon used in a robbery, a school shooting, or a domestic homicide is traced, it's the ATF doing that work. They're the ones coordinating with local police to stop straw buyers, people who buy guns legally only to sell them illegally. Cutting their budget by 26% doesn't just slow that process, it cripples it. It sends a message to those who profit from chaos, we're not watching as closely anymore. That's why Rosa DeLauro pressed so hard. She understood that behind every number in that budget are real people, investigators, agents, analysts, and behind them are communities depending on their work to stay safe. Pam Bondi tried to soften it. She talked about merging the ATF with the DEA, saying guns and drugs go together. On the surface, it sounds logical. But look closer. Combining two agencies that are both underfunded, then cutting their resources further, doesn't make them stronger. It weakens both. It's like taking two hospitals that are short-staffed and merging them, then laying off doctors and nurses. You don't get efficiency, you get collapse. DeLauro wouldn't let Bondi dodge the math. She read the administration's own documents out loud. 541 investigators cut, 186 agents gone, a 40% reduction in the ATF's ability to regulate firearms and explosives. Think about that. 40% fewer inspections, fewer eyes on gun manufacturers, dealers, and importers. That means less oversight, less accountability, and more opportunities for dangerous weapons to slip through the cracks. That's not theory, that's reality. Because in a country where there are more guns than people, oversight isn't an inconvenience, it's survival. What Rosa DeLauro was fighting for wasn't bureaucracy, it was safety. She was standing up for the law enforcement officers who rely on the ATF's support. She was standing up for communities that have paid the price for gun violence again and again. Pam Bondi, on the other hand, fell back on a familiar pattern. When pressed on specifics, deflect. When cornered about facts, accuse your opponent of being emotional or disrespectful. That's not new. It's a classic defense mechanism when the policy doesn't hold up under scrutiny. But here's where this exchange becomes more than a shouting match. It's about what kind of country we want to be. Do we want a government that believes in prevention, in using evidence, data, and enforcement to keep weapons out of the wrong hands? Or do we want one that pretends cutting budgets somehow makes us safer, even as shootings and gun deaths rise? DeLauro's anger came from a place of exhaustion. How many times do lawmakers have to fight the same battle just to defend common sense? She's seen firsthand the cost of gun violence. Connecticut, her home state, still carries the scars of Sandy Hook. For her, this isn't a political issue, it's a moral one. And that's why her frustration was so raw. When you've sat with parents who have buried their children because of gun violence, the idea of cutting the budget of the very agency designed to prevent those tragedies feels not just irresponsible, it feels cruel. The truth is, the ATF has long been targeted by gun lobby interests. Year after year, its funding is attacked, its leadership left vacant, its authority restricted. It's a deliberate effort to keep the agency weak, because a weak ATF means fewer regulations, fewer inspections, and more profits for the gun industry. So when Pam Bondi talked about keeping America safe, Rosa DeLauro saw the contradiction. You can't claim to be tough on crime while cutting the legs out from under the people who fight it. You can't talk about protecting families while taking away the very tools meant to protect them. This is what's so important for viewers to understand. Budgets aren't just about money, they're about values. When you see cuts like this, it's not a matter of bookkeeping, it's a reflection of priorities. And this proposal tells us that public safety isn't one of them. That's why DeLauro's confrontation matters. It wasn't just about a line item. It was about the broader question of whether our leaders are willing to stand up to special interests and make the hard, unglamorous choices that keep people safe. Pam Bondi's insistence that agents won't be knocking on doors of legal gun owners was meant to sound reassuring, but it misses the point entirely. The ATF's job isn't to harass responsible citizens, it's to stop the illegal flow of weapons before they're used in crimes. By gutting its resources, you're not protecting lawful gun owners. You're leaving them in a country where it's easier for criminals to get weapons than it is for law enforcement to track them. That's what DeLauro was trying to get across. This isn't about partisanship. It's about protecting the systems that protect us. It's about respecting the officers on the front lines who depend on those systems. And it's about facing the uncomfortable truth that freedom and safety are not enemies. They depend on each other. When Bondi brushed off the facts, DeLauro's persistence became more than a political statement. It became a moral one. Because silence in the face of dangerous policy isn't civility, it's complicity. The takeaway from this hearing is simple but powerful. Leadership means answering hard questions, not dodging them. It means being honest about what your policies will do, not hiding behind rehearsed lines about efficiency and consolidation. If we really want to keep America safe, we need to strengthen, not weaken, the agencies that track illegal guns and support our local law enforcement. We need to invest in prevention, not pretend that cutting budgets is reform. And above all, we need leaders who understand that every decision made in a committee room ripples out into real lives, into real families, real communities, real futures. So if you care about safety, about accountability, and about truth, now is the time to pay attention. Watch these hearings. Listen to who's asking for answers and who's dodging them. Because democracy only works when we demand transparency, and that's what Rosa DeLauro did. She demanded the truth. She refused to let talking points replace facts. She stood up not just for her district, but for every American who believes that government should protect people, not abandon them. That's the kind of leadership we need more of. Direct, fact-based, fearless. Because when the shouting stops, the truth still matters. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never let anyone convince you that safety and freedom can't coexist. We can have both, if we choose leaders willing to fight for them.